I know you talked about it a little bit earlier that you were at basketball practice a couple of weeks ago. And for those of you unaware, in addition to Jordan writing and being on Twitter, he also does coach high school basketball. And so that he was a part of the Alabama basketball camps that they do and was there. So he was able to see some of the newcomers. So I wanted to ask you a little bit, and I know you talked about this again over on your podcast at The Double Dribble. If y'all have not seen it, please check it out. But you talked a little bit about some of the different newcomers. So just was going to ask, what stood out? I know the newcomers that are kind of jumping off the page, Bethea is the one that everybody knew about kind of coming into. And then at least from what I have heard, a lot of the other, hype has been around Bristo. But what were your kind of thoughts when you saw kind of the different guys at practice?
Yeah, it was really cool. The first day I was there for 2 days. I got to go watch Hoover and Hill County play. Two of the top players in the state play on each of those squads. But day one I didn't get to stay as long. But Aiden Holloway wasn't there. He was sick. You had some guys working on the side like Latrell Reitzel, Amari Allen's nursing an injury. Apparently London Jemison was sick a lot of the offseason coming in, so he didn't do a whole lot of work, which was mainly drill work. They didn't really go live much at all. Second day they did, which I'll get into. But just going through drill work, obviously Jalil Bethea is going to have Ryan Williams type aura around him when it comes to the fan base, especially the younger fan base, because he is very popular on social medias and things like that. But raw athleticism is off the charts with him. His shot, it looks like it's going in every single time. Like he's so fluid in what he does. You can see why he was a projected lottery pick player coming out of high school. Obviously, he had a lot of turmoil happen at Miami with Larinaga stepping down all of a sudden midseason. Things like that just really messed with him and his development year one. But he gets a second crack at it because it did come down to Miami and Alabama for him. Gets to go to Tuscaloosa, play in Nate Oates' free playing system, and I think he slots in probably better at the 3 spot for me, just because of his size, being 6'5", 6'6", 200 pounds. And, defensively, he looked really good, looked like he moved really well with the smaller guards. Shot, athleticism, he checks all the boxes off the eye test. Katon Bristo is another guy, like you mentioned. He was probably the most surprising to me just because I didn't expect much from him coming from Tarleton State, one of the lower conferences in Division I. Obviously, he was freshman of the year, so he had some kind of good pedigree coming about him. But, he's bigger than I thought. He's about closer, probably 6'8" than 6'7" that he was listed coming out of Tarleton. But gosh, he can shoot. He's so athletic, so smooth. Fluid is the first word that comes to my mind with him. And he just moves so well. And I really think that he's going to be a guy that will contribute year one at Alabama. I think he's physically ready. He looked the part. And, against high-level SEC competition that's already on the team, he was one of the few guys that really stuck out to me saying, hey, he might be one of the better players on the team. And that's, just my first time ever watching him in person. I have no bias towards him or anything. So he really stuck out. And then Taylor Bowen, he's a guy that I was excited about. Once he announced he was transferring to Alabama, he's a guy that will immediately step into the role that Jaron Stevenson played. Similar build, similar height. I think Bowen's wingspan's a few inches longer than Jaron Stevenson. So kind of projects more as a defensive 4 that can, like a 3-and-D 4 spot, can play the 5 against smaller lineups. He's going to be a very versatile guy. Now, I hope they don't try to force him into the 3 spot like they did Jaron Stevenson so much, because I felt like that was a mistake more times than not. But you let him play the 4 majority of the time. He's a mixture of, Grant Nelson and Jaron Stevenson's, athleticism, their body, all of that. But he's a better shooter than either one of them. And that's going to be huge for floor spacing for Nate that they really didn't have last year, because nobody respected Grant Nelson shooting the 3, rightfully so. It's a career 30%er. And then Big Cliff, I mean, I think he shot maybe 2 or 3 threes all year, but he's going to be a key component in this upcoming year's team, just because if he shoots 37, 38, 39 or plus percent from 3 on 3 to 4 attempts, what he brings defensively and athletically, I mean, he's going to be a difference maker. I was really excited to see him. And quickly, Amari Allen, I mentioned that he did a lot of side work, but man, he is going to be probably the best freshman of this class, just from an athletic standpoint. He's got a great shot. It's a very repeatable shot, smooth, extremely athletic. Defensively, he's a work in progress, but hey, he's at Alabama. You know, they don't have to play defense to win. So I think he's going to be a difference maker. I didn't get to see him play live because I think he's nursing an injury, but he's going to be a guy that I think Alabama fans are going to be really surprised about if he's able to step on the floor.
That's actually really surprising to hear. I know Amari Allen's been one of the he's kind of the biggest question mark I have of the freshman class, just because his competition level where he was at was just not very good. Obviously, he was the player of the year in Wisconsin, but player of the year in Wisconsin doesn't always mean anything. You know, but he is somebody that you hear a lot of things about, really, really good athleticism. You know, obviously he may be back from nursing that injury, because I've heard some really good things about his athleticism recently. I've obviously heard really good things about his shot. He is the kind of the player that I had the biggest questions about coming in, especially for the freshmen coming into this offseason, and have heard, you know, very positive things. For me personally, I know you were talking about Taylor Bowen slotting into the 3. Obviously, I think that's where Katon Bristo, playing as well as he has in this summer, like that's what he brings you. Is if you want to go with a big lineup, you have like a Bethea play the 2, you play Bristo at the 3, Bowen at the 4, and then an Aiden Sherrill at the 5, and you're just huge. Right? Like you're just absolutely massive. And I think that is what you're going to see more likely than Bowen play the 3. I think you're just going to see Katon Bristo play the 3, because I think he's going to play obviously the 4 some as well, but I do think Bristo will be able to be that defensive 3. And I think his shot's going to be good enough, and his offensive game is going to be good enough that he's going to slide in similar to like what you saw out of like Darion Reed. Because I think from what I've heard out of Bristo, and please tell me if I'm wrong, but I've heard that his defense is the part of the game that's actually stronger for him than his offense. Not that his offense is bad. I've heard that his shot's fine, but that his defense is really the place that he's been excelling, partially with his athleticism and how well he moves. So he can obviously be that kind of stopper at the 3.
Right. And just kind of preface that, I said that I did not want Bowen playing the 3 like they tried to force Jaron to do. I hope he stays at the 4, maybe the 5. But, yeah, Bristo moves so well, and part of that fluidity that I mentioned that kind of surprised me, defensively, that's where that's going to come into play. He's such an effortless mover. There's not a lot of wasted movement when he's, you know, going side to side, horizontally chasing guys, things like that. I mean, he never got blown by on any of these blow-by drills that they tried to do one-on-one. And, I mean, he's a guy that's going to handle his own. And like I said, I did not know what to expect coming out of the WAC, but he was truly surprising. And I think he will be an impact player this upcoming year.